If you're at a site that uses a Sarita lift, then we have special procedures for you to follow. So please pay close attention. The Sarita has been designed primarily as a short-distance patient transfer aid used to assist individuals when standing and toileting. It is not intended for long periods of suspension or transportation. It's noted that the hoist can be used on gentle slopes with caution. Before using a Sarita, a clinical assessment should be carried out by a qualified nurse or therapist, and we at CLADA do have a minimal lift policy, which means that whenever possible, procedures will be in place that will eliminate or minimize the use of staff physically lifting people up to move them. So the Sarita, if it is used, should be specified in the person's individualized plan of protective oversight, and if it is in the person's plan of protective oversight, staff must use the Sarita as specified. Some parts are safety critical to the operation of the hoist and will need examining and servicing on a regular basis and must be replaced when necessary. The maximum weight of the Sarita is 352 pounds. It's important to not leave the Sarita in humid or wet areas for long periods and never spray the Sarita with water, as in a shower. There are two types of slings that are used with the Sarita. The Sarita is manufactured by Arjo, and so you need to use Arjo slings when using the Sarita. The first kind of a sling is a transfer sling, which is a single loop sling with buttock and leg support, used for easy and comfortable transporting of people over short distances. The second is a toileting sling, which is a single loop sling used for supporting individuals at the toilet and to aid in the standing process. Before you use the Sarita, you need to make sure that it's ready for use at that point. Make sure that the battery is fully charged. Disconnect the main power, remove the battery pack from the battery charger. Insert the battery into the battery box located at the rear of the actuator cover and press the green reset button. Ensure the handset cable is inserted fully into the socket situated at the rear of the actuator cover. Get the right sling for the task you're going to be doing, and tell the person what you're going to do. Ensure that the support arms are adjusted to avoid approaching the person at eye level. The legs can be adjusted to go around a chair by pressing on the right hand foot pedal. When we talk about positions, right and left, on the Sarita, we're talking relative to the rear of the Sarita. There are 5 positions to choose from. Closing the legs is done by pressing on the left-hand pedal. You can also apply the brakes to position the Sarita. Now, getting ready to use a transfer sling, separate the support strap. With the person sitting, place the sling around the person's back so that it lies across the shoulder blades with the person's arms outside the sling. Bring the support strap around the person's waist until the strap is tight, but it needs to be comfortable for the person. It's important to be sure to fasten the support strap before lifting the person and to remove the support strap before removing the sling. Do not twist the support strap and never release the support strap while the person is supported by the sling. Next, bring the buttock and leg pieces of the sling carefully under the person, ensuring the pieces are not twisted. And bring the Sarita carefully up to the person and place his or her feet on the footrest. Continue moving the Sarita forward until the person's knees touch the knee pads, and then put on the brakes. Lower the support arms carefully, using the handset control until the sling attachment lugs on the support arms are close enough to connect on the sling attachment clips. Select an appropriate clip on the opposite end of the sling and connect it as well. Now the person should be supported by the sling but not pulled too far forward. Connect the straps onto the leg connection knobs, and the leg pieces should be pulled tight but still comfortable. Ensure that the sling clips are pulled well down enough on the attachment lugs and secure, and that the leg pieces are correctly attached before attempting to lift the person. If possible, the person should now hold on to the grab handles with one or two hands. Always check that all the sling attachments are fully in position before and during the lift, and that they're taut. Encourage the person to assist in standing as much as possible, to stand, keep steady, and to keep their head back. Raise the person up until he or she is in a seated position with their feet on the footrest. If the handset button is released during the lift, the motion will stop. Do not raise the person too high, and make sure to release the brakes and move the person to the new position. Transportation is possible with the legs open or closed. It's probably easier in most situations to do the transportation with the legs closed. To remove the sling, first unloop the leg and support straps. Next, unclip the shoulder supports, and then unfasten the support strap. If needed, a second person may be needed to steady the person while the sling is removed. Now, if you're going to be using the toileting sling, position the sling around the person's back, 2 inches above the waist and under the arms. Ensure the strap is separated, brought loosely around the body and not twisted. Fasten the support strap securely, tight but not uncomfortable. Then bring the Sarita carefully up to the person, put his or her feet on the footrest, and move forward until the knees touch the knee pads. Then put on the brakes. Lower the arm supports carefully until the sling attachment lugs on the support arm are close enough to connect the attachment clips. Make sure to connect the opposite side clip as well. Ensure the clips are pulled well down onto the lugs and secure before lifting the person. If possible, the person should hold the grab handles with 1 or 2 hands. Always check that all the attachments are in position during the lift and taut as the person's weight is taken up. And encourage the person to assist in standing and to keep his or her head back. Operate the handset control to raise the support arms, and this will raise the person to a near standing position. If the handset button is released, the motion will stop. If the person can stand enough to lock his knees, the knees will come away from the knee pad. He or she can lean back into the sling. If the person is slumped, the knees will keep in contact with the knee pad. If someone is unable to grab the handles, staff will need to hold the arms in front of the body. Next, release the brakes and move the person to wherever they're going. Transportation is possible with the legs open or closed, and once again, in most situations, it would be easier if the legs were closed. While the person is in this standing position, that's the time you'll want to adjust the clothing, depends, etc., to prepare them for the procedure. And then, lower the person carefully. Make sure to apply the brakes if you're going to be leaving the person on a toilet. When the person is seated and you want to remove the sling, first unclip the shoulder support clips. Next, release the support strap. And then third, remove the sling. A second person may be needed to support the person while the sling is removed. If the handset doesn't work, use the emergency lowering switch at the bottom rear of the battery box. There is a green and white label near the switch. The green reset button must be depressed. If pressure is released, the lowering will stop. It's important that you use the emergency lowering switch only in an emergency. If this switch is used, the Sarita is to be withdrawn from use and the Arjo service department contacted in order to make repairs. There is an emergency stop button as well. If in an emergency you have to stop any powered movement other than by releasing the handset control button, press the emergency stop button. If used, the green reset button will have to be re-engaged before using any powered movements. Well, that concludes our training on how to use the Sarita, but it's also important that you know how to recharge the battery and how to maintain the Sarita for years of useful service. So I've posted the instructions on how to do these functions on the lifting and transfer webpage, so make sure to check those out as well.